Hi, Trailblazers. Mrs. Ritchie here. Today we're going to start our second topic in our nonfiction unit. So today what we're going to be learning about is something new. We haven't talked about this year. It is called the author's perspective. Sometimes it's referred to as the author's point of view or the author's position. So it's all about how the author words their text so that you can understand how they feel about the topic or the subject that they're writing about. So to start our lesson, you can see on this first slide that there's a picture there of the autobiography of Malcolm X, which, by the way, is a great book. I read it a few years ago. I learned a lot of very interesting things that I didn't know about. But anyway, it says here on the slide that an author's point of view in nonfiction is when authors want their readers to see the topic from their point of view, through their eyes and from their outlook. In nonfiction, point of view is the perspective the author is writing from. So this is different than when we talked about narrator point of view when we were studying fiction, because if you remember, narrator point of view just means that the narrator is telling the story either from first person, second person, or third person point of view. But when we're talking about an author's point of view, we're talking about how the author sees the topic, how they feel about it. And we can usually tell by the words that they use when they're describing their topic. All right. So point of view can also be called author's position. So an author's position on a topic, again, refers to how the author thinks about the topic or how they feel about the topic. And again, you can see here, it says perspective again. An example of this, let's say we have two authors that have a little bit different positions on Italian food. So the first author might say something like, there are many types of pasta and there are many different cheeses available in Italian food. And they could go on and on about that. So we would say that that author's position about Italian food is that Italian food offers many delicious choices. So they have a positive perspective. They take a positive position on the topic. Another author, though, might write something about how pasta has too many carbs and that the cheese is too fattening, and there's too many calories in it. And so that author's position would be that Italian food is fattening, and so probably more of a negative point of view. Their position would be probably that you shouldn't eat a lot of Italian food. It's not good for you. All right. Again, we went from point of view, position, perspective. They all mean the same thing. An author's perspective is based on his or her opinions and experiences. So an author, when they're writing something, they're going to oftentimes have a little bias. They're going to share their opinions with you, and that is based on their personal experiences. Your perspective on that topic could be entirely different than the author's perspective. So I want you to think about this paragraph right here. Winter is a dreadful time of year. Everything is dead and lifeless. The trees are bare, the grass is brown. It is bitterly cold outside. Sometimes the temperature drops well below zero, and it's uncomfortable to be outside for even a few minutes. Winter can be dangerous. People die every year on ice-covered highways. Others end up in emergency rooms due to frostbite. Winter is the worst season. So if we're thinking about this paragraph and we're trying to analyze the author's point of view or their perspective, we would say that this author definitely believes that winter is not a good thing. They even describe it as being quite dreadful. So we might say the author's position is that winter is horrible. It's a horrible time of year. And to pick out evidence, we would say something like, right here, he wrote, winter is a dreadful time of year. Everything is dead in winter. The trees are bare. The grass is brown. It's bitterly cold outside. Okay, so we could put any of those things as, pull those out as text evidence. Now, interestingly enough, we could take a paragraph like this if we wanted to and completely flip-flop the author's perspective. And let's say that somebody likes winter and they want to write a paragraph about winter in a positive way. We could take this same paragraph and we could change those adjectives. So we could change the word dreadful maybe to wonderful. Winter is a wonderful time of year. And instead of saying everything is dead and lifeless, we might say something like, everything is beautiful and bright white when it snows. So we can change things around to make it sound more positive or negative, just like an author does when they're writing it. All right, moving on to the next slide. We're going to practice. So we're going to look at 3 short paragraphs, and we are going to talk about what we think the author's perspective is, their point of view, their position on the topic, and we're going to pick out the evidence that proves that. So this first paragraph is about recycling. Recycling is important in order to save Earth's natural resources and the environment. When we recycle, we save trees and help decrease the negative impact we make. There are many things we can do to help the environment, and it begins with recycling. Some say it is expensive and wasteful to recycle, but there are large and small things you can do to help strengthen the environment. So, oftentimes, we can tell right away how the author feels. And if you look at this very first sentence, recycling is important in order to save Earth's natural resources and the environment, I can already tell from that sentence that this author's perspective is that recycling is good. It's a good thing. It's important. It will save the Earth. And then I could write that as my author's point of view, their perspective, and then I could pull out some text evidence as well. So we save trees. It decreases the negative impact we make. So we can also tell if we wanted to even talk about author's purpose like we did last week, tea pie or pie, we could also say that not only is this author's perspective, their point of view is that recycling is a good thing and it's important, but we could also say their purpose was to persuade us into believing what they believe and to give us information about recycling. Because when an author says is important in order to do something, and then down here there are some things you can do to help, that's persuasive. All right, let's look at another example. Smoking. Smoking is the most preventable cause of death in the United States. Cigarettes are full of poisonous chemicals that are inhaled through smoking. Those chemicals can make you very sick and even lead to death. So thinking about those words that the author uses when he describes smoking, I think it's pretty evident. We could say that the author's position on smoking is that smoking is not a good thing. It is bad for us. And we could even pull out some text evidence. Cigarettes, right here it says cigarettes are full of poisonous chemicals. Chemicals make you sick, even lead to death. So that's some text evidence. All right, and the third one. This one is about video game playing. In addition to negative behaviors, there are health consequences from playing too many video games. If video game players skip meals or lose sleep because they stayed up too late playing games, this can negatively impact their health. Sitting in front of a game for more than 2 hours a day instead of getting up and being active can result in childhood obesity. In addition, backaches, headaches, strained eyes can be caused by too many video games. So I think, again, you can probably tell from this paragraph that the author's perspective, their point of view, their position, however you want to state that, is that video games are not really a good thing. They're not good for us if we play too many video games. And if I have to pull out text evidence to back that up, I can say right here, there are health consequences from playing too many video games, can negatively impact our health, can lead to childhood obesity, backaches, headaches, strained eyes. So all of those things that the author says about video game playing shows us from his words that his position is that video game playing is not good for us. It's not a good thing. Okay, guys, so now we've gone through our lesson on author's perspective. Remember, that can also be called author's point of view or author's position. No matter how it is written or how you hear it spoken or how you say it, it all means the same thing. It's all how the author feels about the topic, and you should be able to figure it out from the words that the author is using in the text. So next thing you're going to do is I'm going to give you an assignment, a short piece of text to read. I'm going to ask you at the end of that text to tell me what the author's perspective is, and I'm going to ask you to cite some text evidence. So you can pull that document up in our Google Classroom reading page under the assignment tab. All right, good luck.